This video will show you a few pointers on how to get started on your quilling project. So quilling is the process of taking little strips of paper and twirling them around an object in order to create these intricate design pieces. I'm going to post some samples within this module. In order to do the quilling project, you only need a few materials, and you probably already have these materials at home. So for the quilling project, all I'm going to use is colored paper. If you don't have colored paper, you can use white paper and color it. You will need some sort of hard backing, so I just used a remnant of this Home Depot box. That's it. And I just covered it with paper, that's why this top side is purple. You'll need something to cut your paper with to make your strips. I chose to use a cutting mat, a straight edge, and an X-Acto, but you could use scissors, or if you have a shredder that will shred just in strips, you can shred pieces of paper and then you'll have a bunch of strips. And then you'll need some form of adhesive to glue the ends of your quills. So I'm using a low temp glue gun, not a high temp because I didn't want to burn myself or burn through the paper. So low temp glue gun. And you could probably even use some clear tape and cut it into a small piece for the end. So in order to do this quilling, the most important thing you're going to need is a small object to quill around. So this here is a toothpick. This is what I use for most of the quills. And then I also have this rounded pen. And this is what I use when I do quills that have a wide center to put little quills inside. So like this one right here has a blue outside and then green interior, or these two. The outer one was twirled with the pen, and then the inner one with the toothpick. And in case you're curious, this right here is the tripod that the camera is mounted on. So the first thing I'm gonna need to do is I'm gonna have to cut some strips of paper to make my quills. So I'm gonna set this aside. And I'm gonna take a sheet of paper. I'm gonna lay it against my cutting mat. And mine kind of has this little 1/2 inch marker on the edge, or maybe it's a little less than a 1/2 inch. And then I just took my ruler and oops, tripod's kind of in the way. I just lined it up with that line. And this is how I cut my strips. So these are what your strips will look like that you'll use to twirl the paper. So now what I'll do is I'll take the toothpick and I'm going to just kind of wrap the paper, pinch it around the toothpick to get it started. And then I'm rolling it up on the toothpick. And I'm trying to keep it as even as possible. I don't want to start like tornadoing down the toothpick. And you can actually even take it off the toothpick. Woo. And then I put my fingers on top and bottom, and I'm just going to twirl it in until the whole thing is rolled up. So there's my little rolled up paper, and then I'm just going to release it and let it kind of grow into this spiral. Now that I have this, I can actually come here and start widening it out. And I just kind of pull it back and forth until I have however big I want the shape to be. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this end right here. So I'm just going to take my glue gun and I'm going to put a little piece of glue right here. just wrap that up. And the glue gun dries really fast. So there's my little quilled paper. And now you can pinch this to make different shapes or bend it to make different shapes. I'm gonna post a video after this one that is someone making a bunch of different quilled paper shapes, so you can see which ones you want to use for your composition. And make sure you have different ones, because remember, one of the things that I'm looking for in this project is variety, so don't have all the same shape all over your piece. So I'm going to take this one and I'm just going to kind of pinch it on both sides, so it kind of makes this little, almost an eye shape. And I'm going to wedge this one right in here, so I have a little secondary group. Now I'll put a little glue on the board. And now that one is on there. And you don't have to make like just a splash of color all over this. You can make this something representational, and some of the examples you'll see they actually made objects out of their quilled paper. One more thing I want to show you is how to do the concentric one, which is basically where you have a little quill inside a bigger quill. So I'm going to take 2 sheets of paper this time. I'm going to put them against the edge of my cutting mat. So now I have 2 pieces. I'm going to choose which one is the outer one, and I'm going to roll this one with the pen. So instead of using the toothpick, I'll just roll this around the pen, trying to keep it as even as possible. Remember, try to be as neat as you can, because you're being graded on craftsmanship, which is basically how clean does it look. Don't make it look messy. Details are very important. And then I'll slide it out of the pen. So now you can see this one has a big gap in the middle. Same thing, I'll just release it. And I'm just gonna kind of stretch this one out like I did with the other one. Put a little bit of glue on the end. And it's a little big for that spot, so I'll go over here. And I'm gonna press this one in. So now I have one on there with a gap in it, and that's where I can take this one and twirl it around the toothpick again. To make a little one to go inside. And remember, you can take this off the toothpick and hold the ends. It makes it a little bit easier to roll up. And I'm not going to worry about gluing the end of this one, because it's going to be shoved inside another one. So that will hold it in place. Now that one it's a little concentric quill. And you can make any sort of design with these. Like I said, it can be something representational, or you can just do some sort of movement of color. Remember, one of the things I'm looking for in this is rhythm, so make sure there's some sort of flow to it as well. Also make sure that you have some sort of focal point. Emphasis is really important for this piece, so you need to pick one area where maybe all the shapes are different, maybe it has the most vibrant color, maybe all of them kind of flow or circle around that one point. Try to create some point of emphasis in your work. Please make sure that you look over the rubric. This is going to be our first major assignment. So make sure you know what you're being graded on, and let me know if you have any questions.